Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Black Ops 6 beta. What we're going to be doing today and in the coming days is doing a final review of the Black Ops 6 beta, basically discussing the good and the bad and breaking that up into two separate videos. What we're going to be doing here today is discussing the good aspects of the game, something that we don't really talk too much about here in the COD community, but things about the beta that I liked, as well as my hopes for the future, knowing what we know about Black Ops 6 based on what was revealed at Call of Duty Next, as well as what was officially marketed and officially teased via their blog posts and social media and things of that nature. I will say before we get into today's video that I am annoyed and frustrated at my own video quality right here, because during the beta I was having a lot of issues getting the game to run properly on my PC, so I was going back and forth between different settings and trying this and trying that and trying different ways of recording, different ways of streaming, different ways of doing everything essentially. And what ended up happening is I have like 4 hours worth of video files where it recorded my game in my stream quality, so therefore it's not that nice crisp looking gameplay that typically you see here in the channel, but rather it's at a much lower bit rate, but it's the footage that I have, therefore it's the footage I have to use, because it's not like I can go back and play the beta and redo it or anything like that. So apologies for that in advance. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and discuss the good aspects of the Black Ops 6 beta. First things first, we have the theme. I'm seeing lots of comparisons to Cold War Online, and honestly, I'm okay with that. Like, the game is a direct sequel to Black Ops Cold War. It's set just a few years in the future, and I think that Treyarch did a great job making a Black Ops game that was set in the 90s. Whether you look at maps like Rewind or looking into zombies on the map Liberty Falls, which people are not very happy about, but still, the 90s theme, the 90s aesthetic, I think it looks good. It's a direct sequel. It's meant to look similar to Cold War in some capacity. I also think the game is a stark contrast to the look and feel that we've had over the course of the last couple years when it comes to Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. There are shades of inspiration from the Modern Warfare games, but having that difference in theme and aesthetic is going to go a long way, I think, for fans in terms of visual fatigue after having essentially the same game looking the same way and having the same theme for the past 2 years. So I'm definitely a fan of the Black Ops vibe that I get from this game, the look and the feel of the game. That's pretty awesome. Next up here, we have the weapons. Overall, the weapons are pretty unique within Black Ops 6. There's lots of guns that are going to be in the launch that we never saw in Call of Duty before. We saw some of those guns during the beta, but they're having a big emphasis this time on adding a bunch of different weapons and prototypes that we've never seen in the 20-year history of Call of Duty, which I think is a really cool thing. Obviously, we have our tried and true staples. The C9 is basically the MP5. We have the AK in there. We have the XM4. Like, there's tried and true weapons in there, but there's also going to be a lot of variety in terms of what they're adding to the game. So I think that's a big positive. And I will say that balance got a lot better during Weekend 2, and attachments make weapons feel great with the updated Gunsmith. I can't say enough good about the changes they made to Gunsmith. Like, it actually feels good to put an attachment on my gun, because the attachment pretty much just makes the gun better. It's very rare that you add an attachment that gives you a downside, and even when there is a downside, it's not usually that crazy. Like, for example, being able to put a 100-round mag on an XM4 with really no downsides was a lot of fun during the beta. I thought that was cool, and I started to notice a lot more variety in the builds and the different things that you can do with the weapons in the game, and I have a feeling that at launch, things are just going to get even crazier, and there's going to be a lot of crazy combos, and overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. The time to kill started to feel much better as the beta went on. Initially, it felt like you were getting melted all the time, which a lot of that was like server desync and issues of that nature, but at the same time, the Jackal was nerfed, and I'm not even entirely positive if it was just the Jackal being nerfed, or if it was the community, especially during Weekend 2, finally trying out some new things, because we had access to more weapons, we had double weapon XP, therefore people could level up their guns even more. There was a lot more variety during Weekend 2, and I think that is something we can expect to extend into the launch of the game when people start leveling up, unlocking more guns, and working on their camo challenges. Overall, the weapons felt good, they were varied, and we do know at launch there's going to be a lot of camo challenges, and you're going to be able to work on them right away, as compared to having to level up your gun first to then unlock your challenges right there from the get. Your challenges for your camos will be there when your weapon's at level 1, so that's also a very big positive. When it comes to the perks in the game, Weekend 2 added a lot more perks, which made the game feel a lot better, because Weekend 1 was essentially just everybody using the Jackal and using the red perks, right? That was pretty much it. But during Weekend 2, we got a level cap of 30, therefore we had more perks unlocked, and when the full game comes out, level cap is going to be 55, therefore we're going to see a lot more perks being added in the full launch of the game, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of variety there. The combat specialties are an interesting twist. I'm not sure how amazing they are or how they're going to play out long term, because we haven't seen every perk and every combination as of right now, but there's definitely room for some interesting things to happen. Like I said, during Weekend 1, the Enforcer perks were pretty much mandatory, but in Weekend 2, with the addition of more perks, we got a lot more variety, and my personal favorite build right here, I mean, this was freaking fantastic. fantastic. So I was using the green perks where I was able to combo Flak Jacket and Tack Mask. I love being able to do that. Then I was using Bankroll, which gives you a bonus to your starting score streaks. So basically you spawn in every life with already 150 score towards your score streaks. And then the other perk, I think it's called Dispatcher or something like that. I forget the exact name of it. Forgive me, guys. But basically what it does is it gives you a bonus towards your non-lethal score streaks. And with the combat specialty that we have, essentially this setup right here makes it incredibly easy to get UAVs and counter UAVs, and it also gives you a lot more bonus score towards your score streaks if you're playing the objective, destroying enemy score streaks, destroying enemy equipment, whether that's going to be a gas mine on the ground or maybe an ammo pack or whatever. You get a bunch of bonus score for that, which makes earning your score streaks a lot easier. I think I got something close to a 5 kill streak, and I got a chopper gunner because I was playing the objective and destroying things and messing around with all that stuff. So it was a really cool combo. Obviously the red perks are very good, having gung ho, having dexterity, having the combat specialty bonus, which gives you movement speed as well as health regeneration buffs. Like, that's all good, but the green perks are also very good, and the blue perks, the recon perks, they seem to be the weakest in my opinion. Like the combat specialty bonus where you see people through walls when you spawn in, some argue that's like OP. I can't believe they're adding wall hacks to the game, but how often is it really all that helpful? Like, most of the time when you're playing domination, you're going to spawn away from the other team. At least that's the theory. Spawns were not exactly great during the beta, but in theory, you're supposed to spawn away from the opposing team. And yeah, you might know if there's somebody about to rush you in your spawn, but overall, if you compare that ability to the ability to really get your score streaks very easily or be able to have faster movement speed and faster health regeneration, I'm not sure how good it is, but it's kind of balanced by the fact that the blue perks are arguably some of the strongest in the game. You have choices like Ghost and Ninja in there. Forward Intel is very good as well by giving you more minimap awareness. Like, the blue perks are very powerful. I'm just not sure how powerful the wall hack aspect of the perk build is, but regardless, I'm curious to see what other perks are going to be added to the game in the full launch and how people are going to mess around with their setups and everything, because almost, I might be wrong here, but almost it seems like it's kind of mandatory that you pick one of these specialty bonuses, whether it's going to be the red one, the green one, or the blue one. You probably want one of them, right? Which kind of makes you build your perks in a certain way to be able to get that bonus there, which kind of doesn't give you a ton of variety overall. There might be ways where you can use things like Dead Silence, maybe throw on Flak Jacket, maybe throw on this or that or the other, and not get a combat specialty just because you want the base power of those perks. But I'm curious to see how it's going to play out long term. The perk system is a revamp like we've seen in a lot of Call of Duty games recently. They kind of change things up just to change things up every single year, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So far though, it seems pretty good here within Black Ops 6. Next up here, we have the maps. I'm not going to be talking about how the maps play because I feel like that is going to be part of my bad aspect of Black Ops 6, which will be in a separate video, but I will say the maps look great. Aesthetically, I love the visuals on these maps. The themes are very nice. They're varied as well based on what we've seen officially teased by Activision and Treyarch and everything. Like, these are going to be the maps that we have at launch, and they're nice and varied. They look good in my opinion. They haven't played incredible, however, so again, I'll be discussing that aspect of the maps when it comes time for the bad review of Black Ops 6. But again, visually, maps look nice. I just want to throw that in here. Next up here, we have the score streaks. Going back to traditional score streaks, I think was a great move, and especially with these strategist perks, it seems like earning streaks in this game could be a lot simpler than in previous years, with the obvious trade-off of having to use certain perks to get your streaks relatively easily. The chopper gunner felt really good during the beta, and I'm curious to see what other streaks are going to be added to the game at launch, because let's be real here, during the beta we didn't really have that many streaks. We had the recon helicopter, which really didn't get a ton of kills. We had the Hellstorm, which I don't know why the Hellstorm costs so much score. Maybe that's something they're going to rebalance before launch. And then you had the chopper gunner, essentially, right? The chopper gunner felt good, and I will say, during the beta, during weekend 2 especially, I got a bit of that old school COD nostalgia of being on a streak and really like getting into the game. You know, I'm like, oh man, I'm really close to my chopper gunner. It doesn't tell me exactly how close I am, so you know, you're really focused up on every single gunfight. You're wondering, maybe I should jump onto a flag, because these are score streaks after all. That flag capture might actually get me the chopper gunner, but also it's a big risk to jump on the flag when I'm that close to a chopper gunner, because obviously people are going to know I'm there and try to take me out. So I forgot how engaging Call of Duty could feel when I'm on a streak. The last time I felt this was like in old school COD, of course, playing Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which there will be another video on that here coming soon. You know, playing games like that, old school COD, MW2 Remastered, like the feeling of being on a streak, I got that same feeling from Black Ops 6, and honestly guys, I have not felt that way in COD in a very long time. Like the most recent Modern Warfare 3, I don't even really go for streaks. I think I use like UAV, counter UAV, sentry gun pretty much, right? And the same thing was true back in Modern Warfare 2. Like in general, going for big streaks in COD has not been worth it for a number of years, but it seems like in Black Ops 6 it may be worth it, and I'm curious to see if streaks are going to be a big part of the game at launch and moving forward. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. On top of that, we have the little things here I want to talk about, kind of like some honorable mentions, honestly, like the customizable UI. What a great addition. It's such a simple thing, but it's a great addition to the game when it doesn't randomly reset. I think that was a beta bug. Hopefully that's fixed for launch, but customizable UI was fantastic, and the overall improvements to the user interface were also great in this game. There are still some shades of the old Hulu system when you're going through the menus, but everything is much more vertical this time around, and while there is certainly room for improvement, like streamlining inviting your friends into the game, because for some reason I couldn't figure that out, the menus in this year's game are a lot better than what we've seen recently, and I imagine, again, that's going to get better as we go forward into the Black Ops 6 lifecycle. And speaking of the Black Ops 6 lifecycle, I think the biggest takeaway, we got to experience the game a little bit during the beta, right? And we got to experience the guns, the perks, the gunsmith, the new systems that they have in place, the maps and the score streaks, but what has me excited about Black Ops 6 is everything that we haven't seen so far, because right now it's all hypothetical, right now it's all on paper, therefore there's all the potential in the world. But when we hear about prestige mode, when we hear about prestige rewards, challenges returning 100%ers, zombies, unified leveling returning so that stuff you do in multiplayer counts in zombies, stuff you do in zombies counts in Warzone, and vice versa, all the way across the spectrum, having 16 maps at launch, over 30 weapons at launch, having all those progression paths built into the game at launch. From a content perspective, Black Ops 6 seems like it's going to be the most complete game at launch that we've had in a very long time, so that's definitely something to look forward to. But of course, there are downsides to Black Ops 6, which I will be covering in my next video where I review the bad aspects of Black Ops 6. That's a video for another day, and it's time to wrap up this video here, so I'd love to know down there in the comments, what would you consider to be the good aspects of Black Ops 6 based on what you saw and based on what you played during the Black Ops 6 beta over the course of the past couple of weekends? I'm very interested to hear about that. Let me know about that down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.